Hey, how's it going, everybody? First off, gonna apologize for being in my car. I just had a question asked from somebody at my car lot, and I thought it was pretty relevant, and I figured I'd go into some explanation about it. So, customer actually asked me if I had any cars for $500 down, and I said no. And then the follow-up, which typically is, okay, do you got anything for $1,000 cash? To which I also said no. And the reason for that is that I used to have things for $500 down, and I used to have things for $1,000 cash, but times have changed. And unfortunately, we don't have those types of prices anymore. It's not the world we live in. And I'll give you a little insight into how my business used to operate versus how it operates now. So what used to occur is that I could buy cars at auction for $500, $600, $700. I mean, nice, reliable vehicles. You're talking your 99s, 2001 Honda Accords, Toyota Camrys, little Dodge Dakotas, things like that, right? And I'd charge people 0% interest, and I'd make a little bit of money on it. I'd charge people like $1,500 for the car, maybe $2,000, somewhere like that. I wouldn't make a ton, but I'd make a little bit, and we would just kind of go through volume, right? With that, knowing that some people are going to blow the cars up because they're never going to check the oil or change the fluids or anything like that. No proper maintenance is going to be done. Some people are going to get repossessed because even though your payments are $200 a month, they still can't afford to pay that. So it's not all bread and butter that you'd think. You sell this car, it goes into your receivables, and a lot of times you're writing stuff off for bad debt, and it's not as cut and dry and like, ooh, I sold 30 cars, I made $30,000 this month. It doesn't always translate out to that, right? So that being said, I used to buy cars, I'd buy cars for $500, and if it didn't sell within like 60 days, I'd drop the price down to $500 to $700, and I would sell it then cash, right? And a car would, it's varying reasons why it wouldn't sell for that price, be it the color gold. A lot of people don't like the color gold. It seems to be an elderly person color. People don't like that. So we don't buy gold cars anymore. They sit. Cars that just don't look cool. Let's say the paint's faded. I mean, that's sometimes what you get when you have a 20-year-old car, right? Paint's a little faded, but it runs and drives good. But if the paint's faded, doesn't look pretty, people aren't willing to put $500 down on a car, right? So, various things like that, you'd have various situations. So, I mean, we would sell 25 to 30 cars a month like that. And, I'd go to auctions sometimes. I'd buy 20 cars at a time, maybe spend $10,000. Maybe, well, after fees and stuff, I'd probably spend somewhere around like $12,500, right? And then I'd sell these cars for $500 down. You sell all 20 of them, you get $10,000. You're not really that low in the car, and except for the fact that you have sales tax and tag that comes up next. And this is where we kind of got into some trouble, is that it's really cool to sell these cars, but a lot of the people you sell cars to in the subprime world, they need new tags. And in the state of Florida, where I am, new tags are almost $400. Whether you buy a Lamborghini or whether you buy a $500 beater, it's $400 for a tag. We don't pay sales tax. It's kind of one of the ways they get their money, right? It is what it is, part of life, right? So the problem with that is that even if people do have tags, which they claim maybe sometimes they do, a transfer in a tag is only $4.60. You still have to pay the $75 for the title transfer, but it's still, let's just say it's $80, right? Problem is that a lot of people that are in this subprime world that I deal with, they don't pay any of their tolls. So anytime they run through our e-passes or anytime they run through our toll booths, they don't pay any of their tolls. And then what happens is they rack up hundreds of dollars in tolls, and then within 12 months, and then the tag can't be transferred without the tolls being paid. And oftentimes the tolls are as much as a new tag, so they just decide to just buy a new tag. That's just what they do. And they have 15 tags under their names. Or at least sometimes it seems like that. They have a lot of tags under their names, and none of them can be used because either there's holes on them or a car broke down and they left it on the side of the road. And the tow truck company took the car and they put a wrecker lien on it, which is absolutely ridiculous in terms of how much that stuff costs. I mean, I had one time I sold a car for $700. Tow truck guy called me up, said, "Hey, I got your car. It's going to cost you $1,000 to get it back. I'm like, how long you had it? And he's like, about 12 days. And I'm like, 12 days, dude, you didn't do anything. You just picked it up on the side of the road. I paid $50 to get somebody to transport me a car. You're gonna charge me $1,000 to tow this little piece of crap. But I mean, then they get to assume title, they get to resell the car, and I get it. I mean, and if they charge that kind of crazy prices, people that have $20,000 cars being left on the side of the road are gonna pay $1,000 to get a $20,000 car back. I'm not gonna pay $1,000 to get a $1,000 car back. It's not the way it's gonna work, right? So that's the way my business used to operate, all right? I charge no interest. I really help people out. A lot of people in the subprime world, a lot of people feel like you're taking advantage of them. They need people like us. They need dealerships like us to get them cars because nobody else is going to finance them. A new car dealer ain't going to finance a 360 credit score. I am, because I'm not even going to look at your credit score. At least in my old business, the way my buy here, pay here worked, and it currently still does work that way. I don't check people's credits currently. If they get my buy here, pay here, but the down payment's now $1,500 down. Why? Well, because those same cars that I used to be able to pick up for $500 to $700 and do $500 down on, now I have to get for $2,500, and it's crazy, the prices. Unfortunately, people don't still want to pay a lot of money for those cars, right? So they feel like those cars, and I've shied away from getting, those really older ones. So I feel like now, let's say I got like a 2006 Sequoia, I've got, a 2009 Mustang, things like that are kind of now in my inventory for that $1,500 down, no credit check or anything like that. And so with that, you lose a lot of those customers, and you got a lot of the people that, used to be your customers still only have $500, and you feel bad because, I know these people don't make a lot of money. They're even if they're making minimum wage, inflation's a pain in the butt, it's really hurting them. But at the same time, if I've got a car that I, had to pick up for, let's say, sometime, let's say that Sequoia, right? I have $4,000 in that Sequoia, right? So I bought that Sequoia for $4,000. And I'm currently selling it for $6,995. So that's a $3,000 increase. Now that sounds amazing, right? Sounds great. Almost 100% return on my money, right? The problem is I'm selling it for $1,500 down. Okay, so right now, immediately, I'm $2,500 in the hole just on what I paid for the car. Okay, then on top of that, I got to get people tags. So it'd either be a new or a transfer. So I'm looking at either $80 to $400. But let's just cut it down the middle, say it's $200, right? It's gonna be one or the other. We'll just say $200. All right, so now I went from $2,500 in the hole to $2,700 in the hole. Now I got sales tax. Sales tax can be 7% in my state. So 7 times 7 is $490. I have to pay that within the 20th of the month. So if I sell a car on the 30th of, let's say, May, then June 20th, I got to pay that $490. So now I got another $500 on top of the 27. Now I'm up to $3,100, and this person's paying me, let's say, $300 a month. I don't break even on all the money I've spent for 10 months, meaning I can't go replace that car for $4,000 yet. I haven't even broke even on the cost that I paid for it. And this is where the problem lies. It's a lot easier to catch up on those payments and a lot easier to turn that inventory when the prices were much cheaper, but now they're not. So I've got to make adjustments to my business. This is where I've come with a few different lenders. So I have one lender that sells nicer cars that does give me proceeds. I get proceeds from the initial sale, so I get a little bit over the initial sale, depending on how well I bought the car and how good the person's credit is. In addition, I get back-end payments, and I can explain that whole entire thing in a different video because I want to kind of keep this one a little under 10 minutes, and we're getting pretty close. So the other place I have, they will give me, if I lend out money on a car, they'll give me like 50% of the remaining balance. So I get to keep the down payment, and let's say I sold a car for 10 grand, they gave me $1,000 down, it's 9. This company would advance me, let's say $4,500, and then they get it. That company though gets to keep 50% of the payments, right? So it's kind of like an advance. So it allows you to do, like I was explaining earlier with the Sequoia, where I wouldn't be able to replace that car because I don't have the money to do it because the customer hasn't paid that yet. It allows me to replace that car and do this cycle over and over again. But I am on the hook to pay that back at any point a customer defaults on that one, and we can get into all that one and those different types of programs. They seem to be working, they seem to be effective, but it's just spreading out my risk and trying to get people into cars that basically have no value in society. And I don't mean that in a mean way. What I mean in terms of a credit value. So they have no credit, or they have really bad credit, like we're talking 300s, 400 credit scores. They have no jobs, or they are self-employed, or they're disabled, or they have low income, where you're talking 800 a month, 1,200 a month, 1,000 a month. And how are they going to afford a car, insurance, food, electric, water, gas, all these things? How are they going to afford that and save up enough money for a down payment? It's practically impossible for them. It is so bad for them, but nobody helps them out. The people that help them out are the buy here, pay here lots. But the buy here, pay here lots also get a bad rap because they're a lot of them take advantage of these people in these certain situations. It's really unfortunate. And so there's a bad rap on both ways. The customers you're dealing with are not, let's say, the cream of the crop. They're, you know, a lot of them are on hard times. Sorry, I'm trying to open the gate to my house. A lot of them are on hard times, and a lot of them are used to being in this situation or predicament. And oftentimes we get people that come in, lie about where they live, lie about their addresses because they never update their driver's licenses, and you know, they basically try to rent a car for the down payment. They take the car either to a different state, they'll buy it, and they'll take the car to wherever it may be. And if you give them their tag, it's very often they don't ever make another payment. It's just the world that they live in. That's what they come from. I mean, what are you going to do? Make their credit worse? You ain't even checking it. So how are you going to make it worse? What incentive do they have to pay you? Except, I mean, they don't care. They'll drive that thing around for free for months if you don't have a GPS in it. And then as soon as you take it, they're gonna blow up at you, yell, scream, kick, whine, moan, because that's what they do. I mean, it's just the way that they, you know, that's just what they decide to do. I mean, some of them don't give a shit. Actually, that's a lie. I'm lying there. They're not all of them whine, kick, and scream. A lot of them do, but majority of them, I'd say 50-50 kick and scream, and then the other 50-50 are just like, whatever, I'm just gonna go to another lot and do the same shit I just did. I gotta drive a car for free for 3 months, right? If it took me 3 months to repo it, right? Sometimes it does, because even if you got a GPS in the car, it may not be in a place that you can get it. So that being said, guys, I wanted to kind of give you an insight into that, why we don't sell cars that cheap anymore. I did actually at one point do a $300 Malibu special where I sold cars for $300 that ran and drove great. I happened to steal them at auction for like $300, so I said, forget it, this would be a great marketing ploy, and I did it, and I sold them for all three for $300. People didn't even believe it. I was doing videos showing the bills of sales and all sorts of stuff. It was a blast. We had a lot of fun doing it. That being said, guys, let me know if you want any other insights into my business. Put it in the comments. I'm always thinking of ideas of things to talk about. And if you guys have any questions, that could be a great idea for a new video for me to explain to you, especially if you're starting a car lot or you're just trying to get a good deal on a car at the lot, you know, whatever you need to do. You guys just let me know, okay? With that, I'm gonna end this video. I'm already 3 minutes over my timer, so take it easy, guys.